Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Corman?
Here.
Mr. Prince?
Here.
Mr. Person?
Here.
Ms. Witchy? Here. Mr. McGurven?
Here.
Ms. Perez?
Here.
Mr. Pavoni? Roll call, Mr. Mayor, one absent.
Okay, thank you, Megan.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move we excuse the absent council member.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved. Well, I guess that would be nice, wouldn't it? It's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Mr. Corman, that we excuse Councilmember Pavoni. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
I'll get one.
So, moving on to a very special presentation that we have this evening. We actually on the agenda show two. One is with the Washington Recreation and Park Association presentation. That's going to be postponed. But we have a very important one tonight that Chief Peterson's going to introduce.
Good evening, members of the council. It brings me great pleasure to come before you tonight. Prior to the meeting, you heard a little child out there screaming. That's probably the best noise you ever heard in your life. And once I tell the story, you'll understand why. But I'd like Sean Sumner, Chris, Lucas, and Ernesto Vasquez come forward. And Mike, can I get you to come forward too, please? Go ahead and just,
Mr.
yeah.
Mayor.
Come on, stay right here.
Man, I'm really sorry. There's a gentleman with a camera.
Oh, yeah, if anybody wants
Can
to
you
take
tell him to come up
pictures,
front and just take pictures?
you're welcome to come up here or up in the front and get photos. So that's Dave. Anybody else? Feel free to come right up here to the front.
Great. So on the morning of May 12th, approximately 10:55 in the morning, Renton Fire and Emergency Services Unit were dispatched to Jean Coulon Park for possible drowning. While en route, responding crews were updated that the victim had been rescued and pulled from the water, but he was unresponsive on the shore. We later learned that the patient was 3 years old. It was the quick work and bravery of 4 citizens. The one lady that was not, Kayla, was not able to attend tonight, but she was the main rescuer in this event. It was quick work of the bravery of the 4 citizens that allowed Engine 11 and Medic 5 crews to start working on a young boy as soon as they arrived on the scene and give the young boy a chance to survive. In the midst of such a horrific event, amazing things emerged. The efforts of the 4 citizens cannot go unrecognized. Kayla Jackson, Christopher Lucas, Ernesto Vasquez, and Sean Sumner. Without their intervention, the outcome of this incident would have been extremely different. While walking her dog, Kayla hears a commotion near the water and immediately investigates and sees Nathan in dire straits. She directs a nearby citizen to watch her dog and, without consideration for her own safety, jumps into the water. And where she jumped into the water was outside of Coulon Park, and it was kind of like a bulkhead there with a sheer drop-off. So you couldn't just jump in and get out of the water. The dock is elevated well above the water, and the area is full of old pilings, debris, and murky water. She gets Nathan and keeps him above the water, which was instrumental in his survival. However, due to the distance of the water to the top of the dock, she is unable to get Nathan out of the water. At this point, Christopher, Ernesto, and Sean get involved in the rescue. They are construction workers from the next door hotel development. They are drawn to the incident because of the ongoing commotion and see Kayla in the water attempting to rescue Nathan. They intervene and assist getting Nathan out of the water. Nathan is not breathing and appears lifeless. Chris begins life-saving measures by performing CPR. I also want to commend Renton Police Officer Robert Magruder and his performance of the scene. He and Sergeant Craig Saline, were the first on location and began assisting Chris by providing aid. It was at this time that Nathan began crying and became responsive. Officer Magruder recognized that Nathan was very cold from exposure. He had no immediate way to provide warmth to Nathan. It was then that Officer Magruder removed his load-bearing vest and carefully draped it over Nathan. He did this with great care and concern. Not only is this incident a parent's worst nightmare, it also impacts the first responders. I'd also like to commend King County medics Michael Caitlin and Gabe Webster, and the crew of Engine 11, Lieutenant Ryan Morgan, Chris Bracken, and Justin Olney. Also, the 2 battalion chiefs on duty was Roy Gonzalez and Douglas McDonald. This was truly a team effort. Each piece of this, from the beginning rescue with Kayla jumping into the water to the final transport, played a key critical role in the survival of this child. And it just goes to show when people get involved, they make a difference. So I'd like to present Chris with this life-saving commendation certificate. Chris? Thank you so much. Sean?
Thank you.
Thank you. Ernesto? And if it pleases the council, can we get the picture up front?
Yeah.
I'd like you to be a part of that too. We'll just step,
Step over here. Good to see you. Yeah. It's good to see you.
so we'll just step right up in front of that R there.
You're going up front.
That's what I see. Yeah.
Excuse me, Randy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark. We can't thank you guys enough, obviously, for the great work that you did, and also for the rescuer who's not here with us to share in this recognition this evening. But thanks for being there and for taking quick action. Like Mark said, it was the difference between this 3-year-old child surviving or not. And so this is a great effort on your part. We really appreciate it very much. Okay. So moving on to administrative report, Mr. Covington.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members. Couple of items, just want to mention for the public's information as well. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we invite everybody to come down as we officially open the 15th season of the Renton Farmers Market. The mayor will ring the bell at 3 p.m. Market will be filled with fresh flowers and fresh farm produce every Tuesday from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., starting tomorrow through September 27th. We'll also have live music and other entertainment there. This year, we're also proud to launch a Fresh Bucks incentive program, offering a dollar-for-dollar match to be used on fresh produce for our SNAP shoppers. We have a number of traffic cautionary areas where we're working on roads. I think we want to make sure that most of them are areas that we've talked about before. One I wanted to just mention, we're getting close on Logan Avenue, and so next Tuesday, not tomorrow, but the following week, we'll be having a partial closure, at least a closure during the day for both the North 3rd and North 4th connections to Logan Avenue as we do our final paving lift. There'll be detour signs there. We just want to let folks know that and be aware of that. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Covington.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so how exciting about Logan. Is any guesses as to when we're going to be done with that? I sure get a lot of people asking.
Why is that? Are you from the Boeing Company?
Why we're affected by that.
I see. Mr. Zimmerman, just.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We expect to be done in mid-July. There'll still be some punch work, list work that'll be taken care of, but by and large, it'll be open to the public without further interruption in mid-July. That's what the schedule's looking like.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Greg.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I want to ask Randy a question. Doesn't Boeing's have a kind of a email system that they could put something out about that closure?
Yes, and I'll make sure I bring it back and share it with the facilities people that do that.
Okay.
Yeah, because there have been questions about it.
If not, we'd like you just to go to all the work groups and let them know.
Yes.
Okay.
Just walk around the plant and talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to audience comment. We have one person sign up to address the council who knows the procedure.
I'm Howard McComber, and I live in Renton. There's three things that came to me this last week. One of them was the mayor's survey about love of Renton. That was a really wonderful night. I believe that we had a couple of members, Ruth was there and Ed was there. It was an exciting night. I think we ought to do it again. I think it's a great idea because it gave the idea that people, everybody can make a difference. And it doesn't cost a lot of money, and it doesn't take a tremendous effort except on the grassroots level. But the grassroots level is so important. In this town, we need to have all the ideas that we can. And this was a night of ideas. The first thing they did was they showed us what other cities had done, which were kind of fun, and then we got a crack at it. They'd say, okay, now you guys do it, and they had some materials, and we did it. And some great ideas came up, and I thought that was really sharp. It's because our town succeeds because we are a grassroots town which comes from the bottom up as well as from top down. We have sponsorship from the top. In every one of these cases, the people brought what they had to the city, and the city helped them with it. Just like our owl thing, which sooner or later will show up. Matter of fact, that happened the week before this thing. I thought it was really neat that we had that.
Right.
The second thing is I went to the thing showing what our new Sunset program is. I've been working, and you have been working on getting the Sunset area improved and doing better. I'm grateful for this group who kept the library there. I know that King County Library System had other ideas, but you guys stood firm, and we still have the library there, and it's a beautiful library. And there's a lot of other wonderful things that are happening. And it's going to take partnership and helping from everybody moving it forward. And it's going to take just some thinking and some flexibility and some working together to make the Sunset area all that it will be.
Okay.
And it will be wonderful. We will succeed. That will happen. The third one is I went over to Harambe, where I spend a lot of my time. They have a program coming to build a special, I can't say edifice, an apartment complex that has to do with affordable housing and helping people on the bottom end. We had a room full of people and had all sorts of ideas. Some of the concerns they had I thought were important, and this is a solution. What we need are more eyes around and more light around and more positive things happening. Now, this isn't a done deal, and it's only going to help 48 families, but 48 families are 48 families. And that area needs all the development and all the help and all the support that we can give it, because this is an important part of our town. When this thing is, and they had the drawings there, they're beautiful. There will be another public hearing. It is worth coming down and taking a look. Sherry Lee, who's the person who's put this together, has been doing these further north. This will be their first foray down into South King County, providing service where we need it. There's some other things I'd like him to send out too. Personally, Howard McComber would like to see an equalization of effort and have people from Mercer Island and Kirkland and Bellevue take their fair share. But just the same, we're happy to do what we can, and that is a positive thing. I know when you look at it, you're going to examine it and take a peek, but from where I look, I can't see anything negative at all about the program they have and who's administering it. I think it's going to be a very, very positive thing. So we have good things going. I've got a yellow light. Just want to tell you that I think we're going to have a great summer. It's already here.
Yes,
And
it is.
as we work together, we can succeed. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Howard. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Council, we have 14 consent agendas in front of you, and we intended to have 15. And I would like to talk to you a bit about that. As you know, you have met Jan Hun as my recommended appointment to become the Administrative Services Administrator, and we would request your confirmation this evening, so I would, if you agree, if I get somebody to move to add that to
Mr. Mayor?
the. Yes,
I
sir.
move that we confirm Jan as our, I always say finance director, but
If you could actually move it to the consent agenda, would that be the right way to do it, Larry? Add this to item,
Move on it individually, or you can.
okay,
You just vote
okay.
on it. I second Don's motion. We'll just handle it individually.
Okay. So it's been moved by Don Person and seconded by Randy Corman to appoint Jan Hahn as our Administrative Services Administrator effective June 5th, 2016 at salary range 49, step E.
I think it's actually June 6th. I wrote that down wrong, but June 6th, 40.
Well, of course you made that
Yeah, of course I did, yeah. Why
Make
not?
that June 6th.
Screwed it up so far, why not
That's
continue to screw it up the rest of the
We'll
night?
just Mess this whole thing up. Jan's got a lot of confidence in
I
us
know,
this evening.
I know, it's
All those in
a great
favor of the
start.
motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Jan, would you please stand up so that our TV camera can focus on you? And we want to officially welcome you to our family of the city of Renton. Very good to have you on board.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Council. I appreciate that. So moving on to the other items, we have 14 items for council consideration. Are there any items that you'd like pulled for discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Seeing none, I move approval of the consent agenda as published.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Corman, seconded by Mr. Prince. The council concur with the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, moving on to unfinished business, Mr. Corman.
And no unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Prince,
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Person.
no unfinished business.
Okay, Ms. Witchy.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I know we're going to come up with one here. Mr. McIrvin.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Utilities Committee has a couple of committee reports.
The first committee report is regarding Replace Highlands 235 Pressure Zone Reservoirs and Mains Final Design Contract with RH2 Engineering Incorporated. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to execute the engineering consultant agreement with RH2 Engineering Incorporated for the Replace Highlands 435 Pressure Zone Reservoirs and Mains Final Design Contract Project in the amount of $697,088 for the design and services during bidding to construct a replacement reservoir for the Highlands 435 Pressure Zone Reservoirs and the transmission mains from the reservoir site to Edmonds Avenue Northeast along Northeast 12th Street. And this is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. McIrvin.
I move that the council concur with the Utilities Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. McIrvin, second by Ms. Perez, that council concur with the Utilities Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
The second committee report is regarding the Cedar River gravel removal project. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to execute Addendum Number 6 to CAG 13-105 with Coast and Harbor Engineering in the amount of $383,507.50 for construction administration support for the Cedar River gravel removal project. And this is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. McIrvin.
I move that the council concur with the Utilities Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. McIrvin, second by Ms. Perez, that council concur with the Utilities Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, Ms. Perez.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Moving, we have no legislation this evening, so we're moving on to new business. Mr. Corman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I guess I just have one announcement tonight, and that's that we will have a Committee of the Whole meeting on June 13th at 6 o'clock p.m., and that'll be in the Council Conferencing Center. And the one item on that agenda is the Regional Fire Authority agreements and legislation. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Prince.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Announcing the Planning and Development Committee on June 9th at 3 p.m. in the council conference room. We have 3 items on the agenda. Adoption of the 2015 construction codes briefing, impact fees update briefing, and emerging issues. And also, I'd like to refer a couple of things into committee of the whole. I'd like to refer the King County comp plan and the King County solid waste plan.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Mr. Corman, that the topics King County Comp Plan and the King County Solid Waste Plan be referred to Committee of the Whole. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Person?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on Monday, June 13th, I'm at 4 PM, and I'm going to make this announcement for Armando Pavoni. Public Safety Committee will meet in the council conference room. 3 topics. 1, Basic Law Enforcement Academy update, adopting the 2015 International Fire Code, and number 3, emerging issues in public safety.
Okay.
Oh, and then I better do my own. 5 PM, the Finance Committee will meet in the council conference room. And we have our famous topic that we just love dearly, vouchers. Then we'll talk about the Sunset Latecomers Resolution, 2016 Farmers Market King Conservation District Grant. That's taking money, so we really like that one.
That's right.
And emerging issues in the revenue streams.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Witchy?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on Thursday, June 9th at 3 PM, the Planning and Development Committee will meet in the council conference room.
4 p.m.
Oh, sorry, 4 PM. I was reading yours. Our 2 topics of discussion are the Maplewood Golf Course organizational changes and the 2016 neighborhood grants.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McIrvin?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Perez?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
Move we adjourn.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Prince, seconded by Mr. Person that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.